Hello. Welcome, everybody. I am starting. I don't know if I got the go ahead or not, but I'm pretty certain I do. So, welcome. And I'm going to jump right into this wonderful, wonderful subject matter tonight. I'll give a few more people an opportunity to jump right in because I see people are coming on. And I just want to acknowledge all of you who are on right now. And thank you once again for being in my life and being with us at the Hero's Quest. I just love doing these webinars, as you probably know, because it gives me an opportunity to contribute and to keep the transformational thinking alive. And it also gives me an opportunity to assist our trainers in developing with exquisite skills. I love that. And I just like leaving a legacy to people, not so much as a personal accolade, but I feel so blessed, which this topic is about, that I've had the privilege to get to spend my professional career in personal development and transformational learning. It has been just such a gift, such a blessing. And I just like giving it back. And hopefully people around the world will eventually get to experience some of what we're all talking about here. And I'd like to have all of you share it with as many people as possible. There are a lot of people who won't ever get to go to a training room like a basic or part one course, but it doesn't mean that people all over the world don't deserve to engage in profound conversations that affect who they are and the way they live their lives and the way they can generate great relationships. The work doesn't belong to us. It's not for us to keep. It's for passing through us and going back out to source. So I struggle with that sometimes because I think about things that I create. They belong to me and I got to get permission for, people got to get permission to use. I know in a business sense that's true and I will stay with that. But on the other hand, about the essence of what we're about, it isn't so much in the writings or it's not so much in the designs that we do. It is in the message itself and the living experience that is to be shared with the world as we live it ourselves. So learning and then living it is the key to making an impact on the world around us, even when we're not even aware that we're making such an impact. And then to consciously make that impact even is a bonus. So welcome everybody. Welcome Barb and Carlos, Dwayne. Oh, Mr. Zohar, how are you? Jose, Kristen, Ryan. I won't get to all of you, but hello everybody, Saleh, Tiffany, everybody. And I'm just going to jump right into what we're about tonight. And at the end, I'll leave you with a few tips. Gratitude, grace, giving. They're all a way to create abundance in your life. They're interrelated. And as I said in the promo, that I question whether you've been wondering how to translate all of this into abundance in your life and how to take the inner wealth and manifest it into outer wealth. I think that's a challenge for all of us. And for me personally, I'm learning this as you learn it with me and through me. Someone was asking me earlier, how do I come up with all this stuff? Well, I borrow a little from here, borrow a little from there, and then I get quiet. And then I let the Spirit speak through me and show me a sign somehow. And then that triggers a whole flood of thoughts. And I just trust that process, and I trust that what's being shown to me is perfect, and I just accept it and put it with what I've been thinking and reading and going through in my life personally, and I just allow my brain to organize it and put it out there. So that's how I do it. So when I get messages like some of the things I get that they are from me as well as for everybody else. So as we go through these talks tonight, I want you to acknowledge or realize that I acknowledge that it's also for me as well. And I also asked the question that, did you know or do you know the core issues that connect inner peace, that connect hope and joy, relationships, emotional abundance, financial abundance? Do you know the core issues that connect all of that? And what we're learning are how to align the issues of universal law, mythology, like heroic traditions, as well as spiritual practices. So as we put those together, law, mythology, and spiritual practices, they seem to constitute a key that unlocks all of those dimensions of your life, like relationships, abundance, faith, inner peace, hope. And I've narrowed them down to these three topics: grace, gratitude, and giving, because I call them the sacred elements that are the means to those ends to affect all of those areas of your life. But it's not like a simple linear formula, like the ABCs of how to get this result. It's not a linear formula like that. But within the understandings of each of these distinctions, these co-mingling distinctions, there seems to be realizations that come to us that then becomes the key to unlocking all of those things in our lives. See, it makes life a lot simpler when you have a handle on some of these understandings, because your natural gift of wanting to assemble things in your life for understanding will kick in and will bring it all together the more you understand the distinctions around each of these concepts. See, grace, let's talk about grace as a courtesy of the divine. And I underscore the word a courtesy. It's a gift. It's a state to where you experience everything is whole, perfect, and complete. Grace. It's a context. Now, context creates content. Context allows things to exist. So it's like a container of the context. Grace is like a context out of which life emerges. And so we're going to explore that a little further tonight and what it means to you so that you can use your realization of that to actualize the things that you want in your life and to have life work for you, okay? Grace is, it just is. It's not something you can maneuver and manipulate. It just is. It's an expression of the generosity of the divine. Grace. I often say to myself, I am here by grace. God knows I've done a lot of things in my life, like driving cars too fast, maybe drinking a little too much, being careless in my life, and done a whole bunch of things that a reasonable person could say, how are you even still here? I've been in hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and people say, you've been in all of that and you're still here? And they say, how are you here? And sometimes it brings me to tears because I really know that I'm here by grace, grace of God, grace of the divine. So grace is like a generosity of the divine. It's like an outpouring of blessing that lifts you from damnation to salvation. So it's the divine transformation. It moves you from damnation to salvation. And that is transformation, but it's transformation through the divine. So you can't do anything to affect grace because it's a gift from God. It's a regenerative state, a birthing state. It's a source state. It's a state of sanctification, a state in which you have divine assistance, that you don't earn it, you don't merit it. It is by grace. It is gifted. So grace is that state of blessedness. And when you can wake up to that and realize it, it opens all kinds of new realizations and thoughts and appreciations and affects who you are internally. And it also affects your expression of how you allow yourself to be a giver. And gratitude that's the appreciation of grace. Like I'm grateful for grace. So gratitude is the appreciation of grace. It's a feeling of, being in a state of thankfulness. It's not being thankful for anything per se. It's being thankful for no reason or for any reason, but a thankfulness spirit. It's gratitude is without debt. You don't have any debt or obligation or guilt, or you don't have to pay anything back. It's a sanctified state of realizing that you're blessed and holding it in a pure and holy honor, a pure and honorable space. Gratitude is a recognition and a worship of grace, on your knees to grace, in thankfulness, appreciation, blessedness. And to evoke gratitude at will, that state of blessedness, regardless of any situation or circumstances you're in, is to enjoy joy itself, is to enjoy endless joy, because it's not dependent on anything. It's not dependent on a circumstance. You can just tap into that state of gratitude and thanks. So we're learning how to access gratitude with greater ease just by knowing that the universal laws and the laws of the divine and the workings of divine gifting allows you to step into that space and be aligned with that space. And as we go through the night, I'll give you a few practical ways to keep yourself on track and to be in that mindset that calls it forth. I realized these from other people and through my own life, so I'd like to share them with you a little bit later. And giving, like giving without expectations. I just wrote it's not a blog, but I just wrote a piece called My Divinity Minutes. It's about the listening heart. If you get a chance, read that. It's on Facebook. But it's about giving without expectations or without something in return, and without feeling like you're a martyr or that you've sacrificed yourself and you're living in the pain of that and that someone owes you a payback. Well, that's not a giving in the sense that I want to talk about giving. Givers automatically gain because of the law of universal law. Because giving and receiving are the polar opposites of the same phenomena. They're both one of the laws of the universe. So it's true nature of the universe, giving and receiving. In order to receive, it has to be a giver. In order to be a giver, there has to be a receiver. They go together like hand and glove. And when you're giving, you don't lose anything. Your candle light doesn't blow out because what goes out comes back. What goes around comes around. So you don't really lose anything. You gain when you give. In fact, giving, there's more light for everyone, and there's more consciousness, and there's more delight for everyone in a space of authentic giving. Khalil Gibran, the poet, artist that you probably know about from many, many years, Khalil Gibran, he says that you give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. That's what the Christ did. That's what many saints do, is that they give that they live. Giving is part of their living. So giving is living. It is their living, giving. So it's no separation. And when it's like that, like giving comes from being enough and being abundant. And it's selflessness with love and compassion for another being. That is what the sacrifice is. I was doing my meditations and prayers this morning, and it really dawned on me and opened up, like that's what the sacrifice is. But it's not like with trepidation. It is with love, with compassion. It's the selflessness. Give that others may live, okay? By the practice of giving yourself in that way, without this mood or attitude of expectation or for return, you're resurrected yourself. You're renewed and revitalized, and life force comes to you and through you through that act. And so you receive gifts as well when you're giving authentically like that. So giving and receiving, as I said, are the flip sides of the same pole of polarity, which is one of the laws of the universe, polarity, okay? So grace, gratitude, and giving are, I say they're mutually accommodative phenomena. Buckminster Fuller talked about accommodative phenomena. meaning that one thing accommodates the other thing, and the other thing accommodates something else. They're mutually accommodative. They help each other. They fulfill each other, and they give meaning to each other. So they are mutually accommodative. That's why they are distinct yet accommodative. They're interrelated and they work together. They offer the real experience of being prosperous, of being abundant, like in your life. It's like a way of being in life. Abundance, prosperity is not about accumulation per se, but it's about a spirit of it. And that spirit is a life force that expresses itself in manifestation. So grace is like the context within all of which life works. All of it works in that state of being. And on a practical level, and that's where we always got to go, is on a practical level, it's about giving freely of your time or your talents or your energy, and having a structure to fulfill your goals or aims. That's always important, is to have a structure, a channel by which that energy can flow through and be manifested into physical form. So structure is important, and you receive abundance in return, not from indebtedness, but like a law, like a flow. And it shows up in the real world. You don't have to worry about that. I think we spend too much time worrying about in what form is it going to come back to me, and applying our expectations to what form that it should come back to you. But if you could get off of that and just trust the process, as I say in that article on Facebook called Listening Hearts, trust the process. And it's based on wherever you're coming from, that the act of gratitude, that the return comes back to you based on where you're coming from. So the context out of which you give of yourself will dictate that. So get your mind out of the way, your head out of the way, and just trust the process. So your authentic expression of generosity really does yield prosperity in the real world, or we call it the real world, in due time. It really does happen. Really in spite of you. But all you got to do is be the source of the giving. So rather than thinking about that isn't enough and you got to have expectations and try to control everything and get something for your life, you might need to learn to switch your mindset to one of grace and abundance, generosity from that point of view, and just live out that point of view. Just live out of that point of view and see if you can feel it. See if you can just experience it. And when you experience it, you'll get goose pimples. And when you experience it, just notice it and let it be your resource state for you to go back to that as often as possible. And it just really gets you all feeling wonderful inside. And just share yourself in that way and celebrate in your life in that way. And then we're going to use some practices to help you convert your ideals into real on the earth plane, on the, feet on the ground kind of level, on the practical level as we go, so that you can develop richer relationships, so you can have more inner peace, you can have feel more empowered in your day-to-day life, and more vitality. And you'll have a sense of how to go about life, some guidance, some guidelines and principles for how to live. And with all of that, life just takes off. Abundance and prosperity and generosity, and great relationships. They're all available to all of us. And I know I get myself in the way sometimes. I know if any of you are like me, I get my thinking, my head tripping going on, and I stumble all over myself, and I have the illusion that I can be in control and all that stuff of everything. And I fret and I worry when things are not working my way, you know, like that. I'm sure a lot of you go through that kind of stuff too. I promised I'd say a few prayers, I'll relate a few prayers on different walks of life, and I'll walk through these kind of quickly if I can. And one of the prayers is a peace prayer that, and it's out of peace in the midst. It's a unity piece. It goes like this. It is often said that there's one God, many paths. Although each culture or faith and each of their traditions, they have a lot of beliefs and principles and practices. All paths leads to the higher truth that there is a divine power and presence beyond our human understanding. Our spiritual journey, or as we say, our hero's journey, is all about coming into alignment with that inner power, that higher power, which we call God. The diverse faiths of the world also share sacred values such as love, compassion, prayer, service, and especially peace. We may phrase it differently, but we're unified in our desire for peaceful, harmonious worlds. We're encouraged, and we encourage people all over the world to pray peace, be peace, do peace. And I say that's the experience of grace, gratitude, and giving. See, everything happens according to universal law. And there's a law, a spirit law. Law is in effect at all times, spirit law. And also physical laws are in effect at all times. Nothing escapes law. And you might as well try to stop bucking the system or avoiding the system and get with the program and get aware of the laws and live accordingly. See, the name of the game is living by law. The name of the game, another way to say it is the law in action. Being the law in action. Okay, and there's a Christian version of what I just said from that peace prayer that basically several passages. One says, and it's speaking about abundance and that, like that, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Now that is also about the law too. Law, the kingdom of God, or the spirit, or the one, or the source, being in alignment with that. Seek ye first that, and then things start to flow. Things come unto you. And this is a agape prayer, which is a love prayer, agape love, you know, and it goes like this. And this is one of the kind of the new thought, new age kinds of prayers that I picked out. It goes like this. In this very moment, I declare my trust in the great law of life that governs the universe. I honor the God-infused essence that is my life and the life of all beings, as it announces from the depths of my being, I am what thou art what I am. It is from this consciousness that I pray, calling forth the perfect peace that passes all understanding. As I unite my consciousness with that of my global family, I acknowledge our interconnectedness as children of our one creator source. I honor this oneness on the ground where I now stand. And by daily praying for peace in the lives of all beings throughout the world, where there is violence, may there be reconciliation, awakened leadership, and a collective realization of humanity's oneness with spirit and all existence. With a full confidence, I accept my earthly assignment to hold a consciousness of openness and receptivity so that infinite mind may download its unconditional love, its unconditional compassion, forgiveness, and peace through me, touching the hearts of all with whom I come in contact. I know that Spirit has infused all beings with a sufficiency of love and compassion to live with its song of peace expressing through our collective heart. And I call it forth right now. Isn't that awesome? Think about love, a little love prayer. And all about grace. Back to that again. See, grace is that state, as I said, a divine sanctification. When you're immersed in that realization of it's perfect, it's whole, it's complete. I am complete. I am abundant in the realm of God, Spirit, Creator, Source. You know, I thought about today and whether I was going to go this far around Spirit, but I said, what the heaven? Why not? Just go for it. And there's a reason, obviously, that this subject matter is at this time. And on September 3rd, we'll pick up the piece on integrity, how it all integrates, because integrity is about integration. We're going to pick up on that. But I said, why not just go for it? So if it sounds a little spirit-filled today, I feel it. I just feel that. I woke up feeling it. I did my meditations and prayers today, and I got up feeling it. So I'm just with it, and so it is. And I hope it's all right with you too. I just feel full. I feel blessed. We're all blessed. See, there's nothing to do, and there's nothing to have, and there's no forsake of in that divine state. It's just where life comes from, where you come from in that moment, like a context of your very existence. It's being present to and one with the source of life itself. And it's profound. Even if it's just a moment or a glimpse, that you catch that, catch it and savor it in that moment. And it will pull you back to itself. See, a way of referring to that, on another hand, is a being of a certain vibration, a being of a certain consciousness vibration. And it's vibrating at a very refined level of consciousness. Liliana spoke a word earlier today, etheric. It's being at an etheric and a refined level. Being so tuned to the divine. It's like a tuning fork, and being attuned to the divine. And at that moment, and it's like living in a state of incredible consciousness. Okay, and it's not prejudice to some people have it and some people don't have it. It's equal opportunity phenomena, so to speak. It is available to all of us. We just need to tune our minds and open our minds. And because it's not just given to a few people, it's something available to all of us. That's what's so beautiful about it. Because to not be available to all of us would be inconsistent with universal law. So the gifts or the blessings you receive are consistent with your consciousness and being tuned vibrationally to what those gifts match up to. So the gifts you receive are not an accident. They are matched up to the consciousness and the vibration of where you're operating out of. Okay, and it starts with your thoughts. Okay, and then it's in recognizing the universality of abundance. It's not within your control all the time, like you can't control abundance. That's where most people make a big mistake, is we think that we can control abundance. It's a state of consciousness, and you don't control it. It just comes to you and through you by your conscious state and the vibration that you're holding. But you could say in that way you control it, but you really don't control it. You only just can control your own mental state, your spirit state, and your consciousness. So focus on that rather than controlling the outer expression of abundance, and control the inner being state of abundance. So be conscious of your thoughts. So here's one of my greatest challenges, my own challenges, and it's contained in this particular prayer. And so I'll share it with you. And again, it's one of those new thought prayers, but it's a unity prayer. So, and it goes like this. One with the power of divine peace, I'm the very presence of peace in my world. My thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony, so that I project grace, gratitude, and giving, and peace from the inside out. I am a clear space of peace, and not a smiley face, not a mask I wear, but a calm, confident generosity of spirit, released from within as day follows night. Peaceful action follows from peace-filled mind and heart. I am the power of peace expressed in my thoughts, releasing thoughts that separate or denigrate. I raise my consciousness to the God standard of oneness. I bring about peace through my thoughts. I am the power of peace expressed in my words. My words heal and harmonize, uplift and appreciate. Powerfully, peacefully, I speak to right the wrongs and improve conditions. I bring about peace through my words. I'm the power of peace in my actions. Boldly, I walk a path of peace, guided by inner wisdom. All that I do fosters mutual blessings. I bring about peace through my actions. Peace is in the midst of me as I become the presence of peace in the midst of any and all circumstances. Now that, my friends, is my greatest challenge, is to walk the talk. I fall off the path and I wake up occasionally and get back on it. And I do my best to get back onto what I just shared with you. So let's see if we can all do that. When you're in a state of gratitude, you're aligned with that spirit of grace and universal law. And that's where abundance comes into play. Abundance always comes in right along with that. In this state where you're aligned like that, you can receive even that which you didn't earn. You don't have to work hard to earn it. Like, ask yourself, can you receive what you didn't earn or didn't deserve? Can you receive by grace? Can you just allow that to be okay? And if you can't, it's a reflection of your lack of abundance. And do you sometimes feel like if someone gives you a gift, that you have to give something back, like indebted? That too is a reflection of your lack of abundance in receiving just because. See if you can allow yourself to receive just because, even if you didn't earn it or deserve it, without feeling indebted. And if you do feel indebted, notice that and see if you can trace where that's coming from within you, and so that you can let it go. And that opens up a vast space of abundance in your life. And I said earlier, our gratitude is the appreciation of that, appreciation of grace. And allow yourself to be in that appreciative spirit of it on an ongoing basis, because it just is. It's a feeling of being in that thankfulness and being with it for no particular condition or reason. It's just a way of life. And see if you can just get with that. It's a state of consciousness itself, okay? You know, as Cicero, the great Roman statesman, and he was an author too. I think he was somewhere around 100 to 200 years before Christ. He said that gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. So gratitude is profound, and giving without expectations of return is grace and gratitude in action. So when grace and gratitude comes together in action, it's called giving. You know, giving is an expression of grace and gratitude. And it's the true nature of the universe. It's the true nature of the law, okay? And remember, I reminded you that as you give, you simultaneously receive. Like they're flip sides of each other. So because of the law of polarity, okay? When you give, you feel great, right? And when you feel great, you want to give more. And when you give more, you feel even greater. And when you feel even greater, you want to even give more. And so on and so on and so on. That's how it all works. So practice giving consciously and consciously experiencing that feeling of it without this mood of expectation, but just the mood, the feeling and the mood of it, okay? And you'll start to receive it. You can just stay in that state longer and longer and more regularly. You'll be handsomely rewarded with joy, and you'll also receive a lot more in your life. And just know that that's just the way it works. It's available to you at all times. And in this spirit, I brought something from the prophet, Khalil Gibran, on giving that seemed appropriate today and maybe appropriate every day. So I'm going to share it with you. You know this piece, but I'm going to just remind you of it's about giving. And it's about when we feel called to give and just receiving as well. So I'm going to read this piece to you. Okay, it says on giving. Now I might not read it right, but this is cool. Okay, on giving. Then said a rich man, "Speak to us of giving." And he answered, "You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. But what are your possessions? But things you keep and guard, for fear you may need them tomorrow." Okay. There are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desires make their gifts unwholesome. And there are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as the yonder valley, the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such as these, God speaks. And from behind their eyes, he smiles upon the earth. It is well to give when asked, but it's better to give unasked through understanding. You often say, "I would give, but only to the deserving." The trees in your orchard say, "Not so." Nor the flocks in the pasture. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver and an instrument of giving. For in truth, it is life that gives unto life, while you who deem yourself a giver are but a witness. As you receivers, and you are all receivers, assume no weight of gratitude, lest you lay a yoke upon yourself and upon him who gives. Rather, rise together with the giver on the gifts as on wings. For to be over mindful of your debt is to doubt his generosity, who has the free-hearted earth for a mother and God for the father. Is that profound? I know many of you have read on giving, but many of you did not read the part on receiving. Without debt and the yoke and the denial of he who gives. Therefore, I ask every one of us to learn the universal law concerning grace, gratitude, and giving as we master the game of life and as we go along our heroic quests. For these are the essence of prosperity, enlightenment, and living transformatively. These are the essence of transformation itself, living transformatively, which means it's an ongoing thing and not an arrival. It's not like I got transformed, like I arrived. It's like it's transformative living. It's ongoing. Transformation is ongoing. So if you're being transformation, you're transforming the world. If you're not being transformation, your experience of having been transformed is a long forgotten memory and it's irrelevant. So we're not about having been transformed, because it's either in the past and it's irrelevant, or it's your ego state trying to hold on to something that can't be held. Because the tighter you hold it, the less of it you've got. It's like water, trying to squeeze water. The tighter you hold on your transformation, the less of it you've got. So living transformatively is transforming the world. And if you're not living transformatively, then you're not transforming the world. So let's live it as our way of life, as a practice, and be an observation as we do. And for good measure, here are a few practices I promise I share with you as reminders of living this extraordinary way. First of all, first practice is acknowledge grace as a context for life. It's a context. Acknowledge grace as a context. See, grace is ever present to everybody all over the world. You know, it is. It just is. It's just like the air we breathe. It just is. And the space in which we exist is grace. It's a natural phenomenon. And see if you could tap into the reality of it, and just rise to that state of being, of awareness, and be present to it. And reward yourself with your own awareness of it and a knowledge of it, and experience the bliss of that being present to it. Okay, and the second practice that you can do is to be grateful for whatever you have, okay? Whatever it is. See, it's hard for a person to be generous when they're not satisfied with what they have, okay? But generosity arises out of contentment. I don't mean like contentment like you're settling. I mean generosity arises out of contentment like I'm okay, I'm one with. And it doesn't come from acquiring more, okay? It just, as Rockefeller said, that he's made millions, but they brought him no happiness. That's John D. Rockefeller, that is, I'm talking about. And he says that if you're not content with a little, you won't be content with a lot. And you're not generous with a little, you won't suddenly change and become generous when you're wealthy. You just be a wealthy, stingy person. That's all. So it's not settling. I want to remind you. It's simply being in a state of contentment with all things, and be generous no matter what you got, no matter how much or little. The third point I'd say is always put people first. That doesn't mean put yourself last. I want to caution some of you who live in that dichotomous kind of thinking, and those who have the habit of putting yourself last anyway. It is not about putting yourself last, and it's also not, I gotta love myself before I can love somebody else. That's not true. You can just love, period. Okay, and put people first, not like above you, but put them out in front of you. Think of other people. See, the measure of a true master, or a leader for that matter, is not the number of people who serve you, but the number of people that you serve. See, generosity requires thinking of people, really caring for people, appreciating people, being mindful of people, okay? And you can do that. And it makes your giving so much easier, it makes life easier. And it makes it more special, more beautiful too, and more appreciative. It's juicy and blissful, okay? And the fourth point I'd say that is that don't allow your desire for possessions to control you. I got to remember in that one myself too. See, there are philosophers, a guy named Earl Wilson, he said that people can be divided into three groups, okay? The haves, the have-nots, and the have not paid for what they have, right? See, more and more people are getting addicted and enslaved with the desire to acquire and accumulate stuff. It's like rampant. And there are other people, other thinkers who talk about that. And one named Richard Foster, he basically says that owning things is an obsession in our culture. If we own it, we feel we can control it. And if we can control it, we feel like it gives us more pleasure and more power and more validation. The idea is an illusion, obviously, okay? So if you want to be in charge of your heart, don't allow possessions to take charge of you. Let thankfulness prevail. And be conscious of what you've been blessed with and share that. And then let it go and let it go back out into the universe, the source out of which it came in the first place. Okay. And, you know, and regarding money, and the last thing piece I want to talk about is about money. Like two more things about money. Regard money as a resource, okay? And someone said that when it comes to money, that you can't win. That if you focus on making money, you're materialistic. If you try to, but don't make money, you're a loser. And if you make a lot of money and then you keep it, you're a miser. If you make it and then spend it, you're a spendthrift. And if you don't care about making money, you're not ambitious. If you make a lot and still have it when you die, you're a fool for trying to take it with you. See, the only way to really win with money is to hold it loosely and be generous with it to accomplish things of value, not just for yourself, but for other people as well. And see, money is a wonderful servant, but it's a terrible master. And once you let money become your master, you are enslaved and you have no power. So to get on top of it, you know, get under it, or you'll just become its slave, okay? And develop a habit of giving. And one of the people that I'm thinking about is Andrew Carnegie. Actually, he wrote an essay called The Gospel of Wealth. And he said that the life of a wealthy person should have two periods: a time of acquiring wealth and one for redistributing it. Is that cool or what? Because the only way to maintain an attitude of generosity is to make it a habit of giving. And got to let go of trying to accumulate for the sake of accumulating, because it'll end up destroying you. It's a demon of greed. And one of our Transformational Leadership Council members I see once in a while, his name is Derek Rydall. Some of you might know his book, The Abundance Project. He's really written some really cool stuff. And he talks about the 7 gifts, and I want to just share them with you. 7 sacred gifts. and then I'm almost done. And here we go. The sacred 7 gifts. Give out. As giving out. The second one is give away. Give away things you don't need and give away things you're not going to use. Just give away, give away, give away, give away. Give out. And number 2, give away. And number 3, giving up. Give up on being righteous and all of that. And give it up. Give up your racket. Give up your game. Give it up. And number 4 is give in. Surrender. Give in. Don't hold out until they are defeated. Give in. Just go ahead and give in. Go ahead and surrender. And number 5 is giving thanks. Give thanks all the time. Thank you. 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 Giving thanks. And number 6, giving to yourself. A lot of people think it's a bad thing to give to yourself. Give to yourself. Go get that massage. Go take care of yourself. Give to yourself. And number 7, forgiving. Being forgiving. Stop blaming, holding grudges. Know that everyone doesn't see the world quite like you. And there's no demand for them to see the world quite like you. So within the way in which they see the world and live out their lives, let it be, and let it be okay. And hold no malice towards them. And I think that'll be really, really cool. So last things, if you want to improve in your grace, pay attention, live in the awareness of grace. And if you want to improve in your gratitude, study the law, universal law. Practice being in that state of gratefulness for no reason or for any reason. And practice thankfulness as a state of being. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you want to improve in your giving, okay, give away something. Give things away. Another way is put your money to work. Let your money that you have be a resource for not only for your accomplishment, but let it be a resource for something of great value that will outlive you. It's like the young man that works at the CVS store where I pick up little things here and there and medications and things like that. He's an inventor, and he has a website called Just Innovate. And he's quite a young man. He's invented several things. He got several patents, and he's created a nonprofit organization, and he gave all kinds of things to people. So I just loved who he is. So I'm just going to put his name out. His name is Justin, and he has a website called Just Innovate, and which is really cool. So he doesn't even know I'm saying this, but I'm giving to him just by putting it out to you. And then last thing about giving is find somebody to mentor. And see, once you reach a certain level of mastery or leadership, the most valuable thing you can do is give of yourself. Make yourself available to people. Find someone or group of someones to pour your heart out to pour your life into, and give to them and become a resource to them so that they become masters and great givers too. And in that way, it goes out to the world. The world works for everyone. So I'll leave you with this last thing. This last prayer. It's a Native American Indian prayer. And it's really, really cool. It's short. It's really, really cool. It says, as the grandfather spirit moves within each being, so it is, we're all sacred beings within spirit. And it resides and interconnects with all life within this great web of life that is upon Mother Earth and in the spirit breath of Father Sky. Great Spirit is formless and changeless, and is the purest essence of love. We need only to align ourselves with the Great Spirit, to set the example of living with the understanding that we are responsible for one another. We then know, no matter the imagined distress or fear or circumstances of appearances, Great Spirit is constant and eternal. It's love, it's peace. And so it is our hope. So I'll see you next week. Go to your circles. Be really a great participant in your circles. Give a lot, share a lot, be awesome. Bring some friends to your circle, increase our memberships with us, help us do that, and make the circles more dynamic. And you know the website is www.theheroesquest.com. And tell your friends. And we're going to see you on September 3rd with integrity. And I promise that we'll start integrating all kinds of stuff, because that's the root of the word integrity, is integration. So I'll see you soon. And your circle is going to provide some more activities for you, and they'll take it deeper, and you guys share with each other. And I love you. Take care. See you on September 3rd. Bye-bye now.